It's true. All of it. Zombie Takeout, Trailerclash, they're real. What's up? Welcome to a very special episode of Zombie Takeout.
Zombie Takeout.
The B-Movie and Cult Movie Podcast. I'm Uncle John.
I'm Scotto.
And I'm mystery guest, Roberto Suarez.
Who was that masked man?
Of course, Roberto is the former host of the Trailerclash podcast, the Movie Trailers podcast. And
Who's hosting that now?
Well, it's sadly gone. You know, I guess the podcast, after quitting the podcast, I went into a trailer relapse phase where watching any movie trailers kind of sent me into this stressful frenzy of I have to prepare a show. So nobody, thankfully, is going through that stress anymore.
I can understand that, yeah.
Anytime you're in a movie theater and the trailers start coming on, you're like the guy from Cabin in the Woods yelling at the Japanese girls, "Oh, fuck you!"
I get the twitchy eye and the weird reaction of the kids who had epileptic seizures when they watch Pokemon cartoons.
Of course, Roberto is joining us to discuss this week's trailer. Let's just get straight to it. It is from 2015, Star Wars The Force Awakens. Of course, that brings us to the impromptu trailer summary, sponsored by Pressure, because over a decade of anticipation had better not be met with disappointment again.
And also brought to you by Sith masks. They're resistant, durable, they can be burned, and when in doubt, you can just make one of your own, even if it looks like an oil can.
And also brought to you by my wallet, which has been lining Lucasfilm's pocket since 1977.
I hope we see y'all in Chicago as soon as this museum is finally built. But anyway,
what museum is this?
He's in the early stages is going to be the George Lucas Museum of Storytelling.
Oh my goodness.
And he's putting it right on the lakefront on the museum campus, much to some friends of the park's chagrin.
Wow.
But anyway, the impromptu trailer summary.
There we go.
I only have 2.5 minutes to do it, though, because that's how long the trailer went. All right,
we don't have that rule on the regular show.
Yeah, I could do this in an hour and a half. Scene one. No, we begin with some very lonely piano music, and a woman who is, after watching it again today, I realize she's, of course, a scavenger in the wreckage looking for some parts on a planet that looks a lot like Tatooine, of course.
Going over the wreckage of a crashed Superstar Destroyer.
Yes. She was bringing her loot home across the desert, and they ask, "Who are you?" And she responds with, "I am no one." But she has that same look that Luke and Obi-Wan get when they see another Jedi nearby or approaching. As she's looking at some of her loot that she's trying to fix. Then it quickly goes to this someone in a stormtrooper outfit, but taking off his helmet, saying, "I was raised to do one thing, but I'm going to make Tatooine pregnant." Because he looks a lot like, he looks like Tracy Morgan.
Like Tracy Morgan, yeah. John Boyega.
Yeah,
John Boyega, right.
That's never going to leave my brain now.
The Force is strong with this one.
Hopefully he never says homage in a movie.
You know what's funny is that in the premiere episode of 30 Rock, the reason Tracy Morgan is caught and ends up in the show is that he was caught live on tape running through like the Brooklyn Bridge naked, yelling, "I am a Jedi! I am a Jedi!"
I forgot about that.
Dreams do come true.
So he's they see him, his TIE fighter, gets, I don't know if it's shot down or crashed into, but
I suspect he was trying to run and he got shot at.
Mm-hmm. But he crashes onto this Tatooine-like planet.
Jakku.
Jakku. Half the calories of Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
Tatooine light.
It's identical except for that big crate dragon.
It's actually spelled tattoo, the number 2 in. That's how they spell it.
They could not get the rights from Hervé Villachez for the tattoo name, and they had to change it.
Instead of Mos Eisley, it's Mos Springfield. Yeah.
The planet.
It's Mos Def Cantina.
There we go.
So he's walking along the desert, carrying his leather jacket, of course. It's like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy towel in this, I think. You have to have your leather jacket.
Yeah.
And of course, then it goes to our Heavy, our villain. He's saying, "I will," and I think this guy has to be a Skywalker. He's a Sith. He's looking down at the Vader mask, kind of the alas poor Yurik, I knew him well sort of deal, but saying that he will finish what you started, and gives the ultimate bullshit Sith Empire line of, nothing will stand in my way. Nothing will stop us now. He did not learn a damn thing from his grandfather, most likely. And then we have what do we have after that? Oh, we have the two heroes asking old Han Solo if the stories are true, and he confirms that they are all true.
Mm-hmm.
The Jedi, the dark side, they're all real. And then, of course,
an important clue as to kind of where this movie is set. It's kind of set in a world where the Jedi and those stories of the Jedi and the Sith seem to be mythical
fairy
or
tales.
legendary.
Yeah.
And quite the contrast from ancient religions and ancient weapons and Hoki religions in episode 4.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of a progression of it. I mean, you see, how the Jedi are the center of the universe in episode 1 to, ancient, Hoki religions and stuff in episode 4 to now, that really happened?
Yeah.
Did they really do that? They can move shit with their brains? Or what are you talking about?
Exactly.
And then they fly around, and there are these different, montage of battle scenes and whatnot. A planet that better not fucking be Hoth, or it'll be just too cheesy. We see Yavin, of course. We see the famous temple, only it looks a lot different now. And then we hear this woman who's asking the Force, "It's calling you, just let it in." Which sounds like the line from a bad porno.
Yes.
With the Star Wars porn parody that they will do after Force Awakens comes.
Well, they've already done one, but I'm sure they'll do another one for this trilogy.
Of course.
Just let it in.
And of course,
hilarity ensues. Actually, coming this Christmas.
Yes, it will ensue in about 2 months.
Yeah.
And the mask on Rey, the female lead, at the beginning, really reminded me of Leia in the Bouche disguise.
Mm-hmm.
More of a Hoth, Skywalker
that too.
helmet.
Yeah. It had hints of all those things: Tusken Raiders, the Hoth gear, the Bouche look. Yeah, and definitely, and given that it's a woman dressed like that, definitely kind of playing with that idea.
Right. And one of the breakdowns I read pointed out that the eye pieces are obviously stolen from stormtrooper armor.
Okay.
And it's also matched with this piano music, which was an interesting choice for a Star Wars movie. Clearly not your I would say father, but I mean it's our generation. Star Wars. Not our Star Wars.
God damn it.
Yeah, very, very different. I think to me that was one of the most important things throughout the trailer is the use of music in this trailer. I mean, and I don't know how much we want to look into what probably was more than anything a marketing decision. But I have a feeling that there are some clues being dropped with the music here, especially the use of the Han and Leia theme. To me, is kind of indicative of kind of where my theory about where this movie is going. The fact that they use that in the trailer, to me, is kind of an indication of what the plot is.
It can't just be nostalgia, because it's not the most recognizable piece from Williams' score.
Very true. It's cool that they stick with the Williams score and not go off the cliff and start doing something else.
But if you wanted.
Yeah, I was going to say, when thinking back to the Phantom Menace and the prequel trilogy trailers, it was always kind of, let's just hit them with what they know, kind of the bombastic Star Wars themes, and that gets you the blood pumping. Here it's really kind of giving you a feeling of, this is the Star Wars but it's also, there's just a sense of nostalgia, a sense of loss, and at the same time a sense of this is something new. So it's a really interesting way to use music and the imagery to convey that.
There's a great sense of sadness to it all.
Very much so.
It's kind of like a failed legacy. They're introducing here.
Yeah, and if they were just playing on the nostalgia, it would have been the main theme, the Imperial March, and Binary Sunset.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And they wouldn't have used anything else, because anything else is a little obscure, and you really have to be a fan. In fact, I really didn't even catch the Han and Leia's theme.
Yeah, and the Han and Leia thing, because not only are they playing them, they're playing. These are I think uniquely recorded either for this film or for the trailer. It's a different cadence, a different pace. This is not a version of this song that we've heard before.
And they've done that before for the Clone Wars and for Rebels, the current animated series.
Correct.
It's the same music, but it's clearly a different modern recording.
I was greatly disappointed, because I wanted the Ewok victory song.
I can get that for you if you need it.
I say yub yub or get the fuck out.
Yub yub, not the. I think it's yub nub, and you mean that's the original, not that little pan flute thing in the special editions.
Right, in the special editions, they did away with it altogether, and as much as we do want to argue about loving or hating the Ewoks, at 13 years old, watching the little celebration in the end, totally, that's my memory of Return of the Jedi.
I'll admit it.
Take that away.
Yub Nub does hit a nostalgic spot for me. I don't hate it.
I remember as a kid going, "What the fuck?"
I believe the name of the song is officially "Celebrate Tonight" or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, really, if they wanted to go truly hardcore, rap in C-3PO.
Yes.
Call it Master Luke.
Now, while we see Rey scavenging the Super Star Destroyer, there's this voiceover. It's believed to be a character called Maz Kanata, played by Roberto.
Yes, played by Lupita Nyong'o.
Thank you. I always have trouble with her last name. And Rey says, "I'm no one," and there's some speculation that she's trying to hide her true identity. I kind of get the feeling that she's really just being honest, kind of Luke saying, he's just a farm boy. She's just, I'm not that important.
Yeah, exactly. It echoes Luke's, if there's a significant part of the galaxy, you're the furthest from it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it harkens back to the moment when Kenobi and Luke find the Jawa transport that's been all burnt up in A New Hope, and Ben tells Luke, "You have to come with me and rescue the princess." He's like, "I'm just a farm boy. I gotta go back to do my chores," kind of thing. It's kind of that same. I sensed it to be that same kind of feeling. Like I don't even know, not knowing who he is, which is really much part of the hero journey, right? The idea that you come into the realization that you're the hero of the story as the story progresses.
And just a little, how the sausage is made. I have to admit, this is the second time we're having this conversation. We tried it last night. There was an issue with the recording. So just in case it sounds a little stale. As I've thought about it, I'm kind of coming around to your side with Rey, Roberto, with regard to Rey. I was initially thinking Finn, the stormtrooper, was going to turn out to be the Jedi, but it really does look like she's going to turn out to be the Jedi.
Yeah, I mean, there's been, in addition to the fact that there's been some clues out there about the Jedi, and I don't think there's anything precluding the fact that both of them might be Jedi.
True.
I think...
only someone strong in the Force would be able to sense another Jedi approaching, like she had the look on her face.
Exactly. So But I think the legacy, the idea of legacy, and I guess this gets into kind of my theory that we've discussed before, but that the idea to me is that this is going to be paralleling in some ways the story of Luke and Leia, that just how Luke and Leia were separated at birth and sent to different worlds to be hidden from Vader. My theory here is that Rey and Kylo Ren, the evil Sith Lord that we see, or in this case, Knight of Ren, are the twin children of Han and Leia, who, for reasons that are, yes, a little bit cloudy at this point, had to be hidden away and separated. My theory is that they were concerned that they were going to fall back into the old ways of depending on the Jedi and depending on the Force, and that led to the corruption of the Republic and the creation of the Empire. So that would have been a kind of schism between Luke and Leia and Han, and so Luke would have gone into exile. The children would have been hidden so that perhaps Luke couldn't find them and try to train them into Jedi. And in the aftermath of all that, we end up with kind of the least desirable place where they wanted to be, which is with a new rising force that is equal or worse than the Empire, and then a hero that's hidden away somewhere, waiting to come out.
And they're not called the Sith, from what I understand this time. There's another name for it.
The Knights of Ren.
Is it just the Knights of Ren? Okay. I couldn't remember if that was it or if there was something else. And
there might be something else, John. I don't know. That's the one that I've been hearing.
Well, that's Ren's little army. Kylo Ren, who is the one of the big bads.
Yeah.
The other.
They really are up against the Knights of Stimpy, I think.
The other big bad is, and I kind of hate this name, Captain Phasma. I keep wanting to say Captain Fanta.
She kind of looks like a can of cola, doesn't she? She's all shiny.
Played by Gwendolyn Christie, who's best known as Brienne on Game of Thrones.
Correct.
And she's basically the head stormtrooper. It almost kind of feels like she's got silver armor and she's leading this army. I get the impression she's just hunting down Finn.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting looking at the theories out there, and it's not clear how closely she's working with Kylo Ren. One of the theories is that the reason Finn is escaping is because Kylo Ren senses that Finn is a Jedi. And so he takes off when maybe Kylo sees him as a threat or something, or he's trying to turn him to the dark side. Yeah. And then there's also the theory, some theories out there saying that Phasma is also a Force-sensitive being.
Oh,
and
that's
maybe that
interesting.
has something to play into as well.
The impression I always got about Finn was he ran because he found out the Empire was doing something that he couldn't live with. He said, I was raised to fight, now I've got nothing to fight for. So he goes AWOL.
And in the trailer, we see him recognizing Poe Dameron in what appears to be a later scene in the movie, where Poe Dameron doesn't recognize him. That's the character being played by Chris Isaac, who's a rebel pilot.
Oscar Isaacs. Chris Isaac.
I'm sorry, Oscar Isaac, not Chris Isaac. And
he did some acting, but no, Oscar Isaacs is much better.
So Oscar
How
Isaac.
funny. You take off like the Darth Vader mask, and there's like goofy Chris Isaac. Hello, everybody.
So I sense that maybe they show us a scene where Kylo Ren is torturing Poe Dameron. Maybe that's what was the breaking point for Finn. He's like, I don't approve of this, and then he kind of leaves. And then later on, he recognizes Poe Dameron, even though Dameron doesn't recognize him because he would have been in stormtrooper armor.
Now, speaking of Finn, there is one thing about the trailer that kind of irritated me. Finn has an American accent, I should say. He's John Boyega is a British actor.
Correct.
And he's doing a fake American accent, and I'm just as annoyed when Brits do fake American accents as most Brits are when Americans do fake British accents. In most cases. I mean, there are some exceptions, some that sound good. Every time I've mentioned this, Scott, you've brought up Hugh Laurie.
Yeah.
And there probably are a few other examples.
Honestly, he just sounded like Tracy Morgan to me, so I think he was doing just fine.
He had one or two lines. It's one of those things that grates on me. If you heard our review of horns. You heard me ramble on about it then.
He was paying homage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, especially in a world like Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
There's the countries that we live in, and the accents that have been developed in our world have nothing to do with the galaxy far away. So if somebody happens to have an Australian accent and they're talking to somebody happens to have a British accent, why not just let people have their natural accents and let them be comfortable in their role that way?
And traditionally, the Empire is supposed to be British.
This is keeping a great tradition up of that started by Carrie Fisher with her local accent.
Uh-huh.
General Tarkin, I thought that was your stench.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe too, marketing has a lot to play into this as well. You're going to be selling a lot of toys and things that are going to be. You want to have probably as neutral as an accent for your hero characters as possible, so that kids around the world aren't complaining when they don't understand what their toy is saying.
And America is the target demo.
Is going to sell more than any other accent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Speaking of voices, Ren sounds a lot like Bane in the Dark Knight. Or Dark Knight Rises, sorry.
Yeah. I would agree that there's been a lot of complaints out there about it's not menacing enough. But I think part of what if Ren is truly a fanboy of Vader, I mean, it looks to me like you said in your sponsor earlier, Scott, that the helmet kind of looks kind of janky, kind of put together in a janky way. Mm-hmm. His lightsaber looks all janky. Like if you look at it, this is a cosplaying Sith.
Right. What idiot would put two side blades on their lightsaber?
I kind of like that idea.
I mean, come on, it looks cool, but I mean, functionally,
it's actually been proven to be effective.
Really,
you have to watch the Stephen Colbert explanation of the lightsaber crossguard and how it would actually be a helpful thing. Yeah. And a
lot of people who are swords experts. I'm a sword collector, so I've looked into it and on a lot of stuff on YouTube, and actual sword experts have said, it could be dangerous, but it could also be effective.
Could be effective, yeah.
Well, exactly. But if
there is precedent in the EU
that too.
Also for lightsabers with crossguards. So it's not like it's something that hasn't been explored before. And I would argue that Darth Maul's double blade is probably more dangerous than the crossguard.
Yes, that thing will take off a limb.
Right, but I think it was more effective for his style of combat. I mean, if you see most, how most Jedi fight, though, that's something more that could be used. I mean, that's something more medieval.
And let's face it, lightsabers in general are not practical. As much as I would love to have a real one, it doesn't make any sense. It's too dangerous.
Yeah, nobody said they were practical. They just said they were elegant.
Yeah.
That could chop a fucking limb off with one swipe. The crazy lines from New Hope, if you really thought about them, and everybody of course loves to point out the accuracy of stormtroopers. But I mean, the lightsaber, really an elegant weapon
for a more civilized age. That line actually turned me into a sword collector, but you're right, it is kind of silly.
They just slice through flesh like it wasn't even there.
And just to kind of come back to the Kylo Ren, I think part of his voice sounding the way it does is that he's like a pretender, right? He's trying to be Vader, but he doesn't.
Yes.
Hence he's got the effect on there because he doesn't appear to have the breathing apparatus.
Right. I mean, he's a fanboy, and so it is gonna be, kind of like when you meet those cosplayer guys that they're not quite there. It's like the uncanny valley, right? You're trying to be Vader, but you're not quite there. So that kind of plays, I think, into his desire to be like Vader.
Initially, I liked the mask, but last night I ended up doing a Photoshop Halloween avatar for my friend Kyla. I just couldn't resist Kylo Ren. Looking at it for about a half hour, working on the Photoshop, it is kind of cheesy looking.
It looks put together, like the mouthpiece almost looks like it's a piece of leather just kind of stapled there. I think it's all part of his, and who knows, maybe by the end of this movie he will get hurt in such a way that then he will for real have to have some kind of breathing apparatus or something. So it's almost like a be careful what you wish for situation.
But I mean, I think what they're going for is the whole modern day Russia situation where the kids don't really understand what happened under the Soviet Union and how just exactly what life was like back then,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the things that happened. So you have them, maybe, with this nostalgia
Mm-hmm.
for stuff.
Yeah.
And I think actually you're even seeing a nostalgia in Asia for Nazi memorabilia.
Wow.
Like they have no idea what any of it means. It's
Mhm.
just, these guys were good dressers, and this, this looks, eye-catching. So we'll use that.
You don't have to look too far. Like, in the aftermath of the French Revolution, what happened? A lot of people basically came out saying, at least under the kings, we had, stability. I mean, maybe I was poor and dying, but I think it's that idea that the reaction to a revolutionary movement in many ways, because it is a slow process and because it's not going to be ever going to meet the idealized vision that you had when you joined the revolution.
You're going to get, the trains really ran on time under Palpatine.
Exactly. Yeah. So maybe I, so they were killing all the Jews, but the trains ran on time, right? So it's that mentality of you only remember the positives and you start to then resent the current situation based on that.
It's kind of ironic that's happening in Asia, given that that's where a certain symbol started.
Right.
But back to the movie. I also have a strong suspicion that the Knights of Ren and the First Order, I'll make sure I say it correctly because I have a tendency to want to say First Union, which is a bank around here.
It is a bank. Where Kylo Ren deposits the Sith Order.
I suspect that they're not connected. I think the First Order is just a fascist regime trying to take over the galaxy, and Ren is just a Dark Jedi under another Dark Jedi, presumably played by Andy Serkis. I don't know if that's been officially confirmed.
I will finish the Christmas club you have started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a marriage of convenience. I think in very much the same way that the Emperor and his Sith ways got paired up with the Empire. You have the Imperial officers who don't believe in the Force, but little do they know the dark side of the Force is basically what's behind making it all happen for them. I think it's a similar kind of relationship of having to kind of band together in order to realize each other's goals.
And I think in this trilogy we'll see that marriage happen, because I don't think they're connected at the start.
Okay.
I don't get that impression.
I mean, the question really is, though, is Luke good or bad?
Mm-hmm.
Or crazy? I think Luke is more become I just have this idea that Luke perhaps is, grown super powerful in the Force, powerful enough that maybe he had to be sent away or exiled. And then I picture him as kind of trying to do the right thing, but he's overwhelmed by visions that's what kind of scares Han and Leia away. That's kind of what I'm seeing. Not so much somebody who is gone evil necessarily or gone bad, but he's just overwhelmed by how the Force is impacting him.
Well, looking at Luke's character in the original trilogy, it wouldn't be that far-fetched to say that maybe he exiled himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like his master Yoda, kind of living that sort of lifestyle and thinking that, I'm tired of people bothering me for making miracles.
Yeah, and a lot of people have said that he's going to be the Obi-Wan of this trilogy, and that's exactly what Obi-Wan did, and a lot of people thought Obi-Wan was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he was referred to as that old, wizard, crazy wizard that nobody really takes seriously anymore.
Right. And speaking of Luke, I have a little controversial theory like yours with Kylo and Rey being twins.
Mm-hmm.
At one point during the trailer, we see Rey crying over what appears to be a body. And shortly later, we see Leia crying in Han's arms, and he doesn't look very happy from the bottom half of his face, we can say. I suspect the body is going to be Luke's.
That would be, again, with themes of paralleling prior stories.
Mm-hmm.
If we're paralleling the Luke and Leia separation at birth, if we're paralleling...
And this whole franchise likes to do that.
Yeah, they do like to do that, down to individual lines that get repeated, from movie to movie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually the setup here, that just as Obi-Wan ended up sacrificing himself for the sake of Luke and became one with the Force, that maybe this is the time for Luke to depart in a similar way.
The mentor has gotten their ticket punched in the beginning of each trilogy so far.
It's a hero's journey. The old wizard has to die.
Obi-Wan. But I don't know. I mean, it could be. It could be somebody else. It could be one of the kids.
That's just my suspicion, because, like I said, the old wizard has to die in every hero's journey.
And Rey starts shooting kind of almost frenziedly at the camera at that point. And if you remember, the moment Obi-Wan dies, what's the first thing Luke does?
He attacks.
He go and starts shooting that blaster like a maniac, and Han and Leia have to like push him back to throw him into the Falcon. So it's almost emulating that kind of scene as well.
Which is one of the reasons I was starting to think that Rey might be Luke's daughter, but I just like the idea of the twins more.
There's a symmetry to the twins idea. The one thing that my theory has against it is that a lot of people are saying that's very EU, because in the EU there was a pair of twins, and EU, I refer to the expanded universe that for many years.
The European Union. What the hell
the expanded universe of Star Wars, which for many years was books and novels and comic books, and all of that was deprecated in the wake of the Force Awakens coming.
Right.
But in those stories, a very prominent pair of twin children were born to Luke and Leia, and tons of stories were developed along the lines of those characters. So now there's nothing saying that they couldn't tap into that well, but some people are saying, well, it would be too obvious if they went that direction.
Well, I think the reason they deprecated all of that was so they didn't have to necessarily be faithful to it, but they could pick and choose what they liked.
Well,
Exactly.
you know what? I think I'm even more cynical than that. I think they didn't want to pay the authors copyrights.
That's it. Probably.
I mean, I don't know what the deal was with those, but I mean, if you put like a Mara Jade and a Thrawn, and I can't remember the other kids' names. I remember Hope Solo,
Jason Solo.
Jason, Jaina, and I think it was Jace, Jaina, and Anakin.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Right.
Hope Solo, I think, is an athlete.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's an interesting point, Scott, because back, in the first novel that came out in that kind of post Star Wars world, not the Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which kind of came out at the time of the movie, but the first one that was considered kind of the real post Return of the Jedi story, which was the Thrawn trilogy. That's where the Timothy Zahn, the author, introduced the world Coruscant.
Right.
And when Phantom Menace came around, Lucas really struggled with whether or not calling the planet Coruscant. So I know that there's probably been some tension of how beholden they want to be to the expanded universe, and so it's very possible that just so that they could just have a clean slate and pick and choose their way through the future of Star Wars makes a lot of sense.
And it speaks to your theory, because if I recall correctly, Anakin Solo turned to the dark side.
Yeah.
One of them turned to the dark side. I don't remember which one.
Okay, I think it was Anakin.
Anakin.
Yeah. One of them did. Either way, it was Jace or Anakin.
Of course, it had to be the one that you named Anakin. Jeez.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe that's why I'm saying
Anakin. How does they name a kid Anakin?
Might as well name him Darth or Adolf for that matter.
Right.
Now, there is this character, Maz Kanata, who all we know is she's a pirate, and it's a CG character played by Lupita, whatever.
You can do it.
I have no idea. Thank you. And all we see is, we hear that opening bit about who are you, which is assumed to be her. And we see Han leading our heroes into this temple that looks a lot like the one from one of the last seasons of Lost.
Yes.
That temple where they had they could supposedly live forever. It looks a lot like that. This is an Abrams movie. With this fascinating droid, I suspect she's going to be the key to finding Luke.
Yeah, just like Han Solo in Mos Eisley in the Cantina was the key to going to rescue the princess. Our heroes will have to make their way to this new den of scum and villainy, which is overseen by this pirate character, and so they will head to this place to find the means, whatever those means are, to locate Luke Skywalker.
And wasn't that the same temple from Yavin, though?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. Yeah, it looks it's a very Yavin-like looking world.
Honestly, my first impression was that was where the temple where they received the medals at the end of New Hope. Now only we have all these things hung over it.
See, I don't know for sure, but I'm just assuming that that's Maz Kanata's place, and all of those banners were from cultures and people who they pirated from. who they beat, basically.
And there's some recognizable ones, in particular the
One of them is
Mandalorian
Mandalorian, yes, which means they are serious badasses if they were able to take a Mandalorian flag.
I mean, the planet itself looks like Yavin, and the temple...
Yeah, it's a little more swampy than Yavin.
Then again, in the aftermath of the events of these 30 years, maybe Yavin Base was just abandoned and these pirates took it over.
Good point.
That's exactly what I thought it was.
Ah, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
It's possible. Then again, I think part of what Abrams is trying to do here is emulate the old, but setting in new. So we don't have Tatooine, we have Jakku. We don't have Hoth, we've got Starkiller Base. So we had Yavin, maybe now we have, whatever the next tropical-looking rainforesty planet is going to be.
I can't believe they brought back Starkiller.
Starkiller, yeah.
I know. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So and for listeners out there who don't know, in the original script treatment for Star Wars, instead of Skywalker, Luke was the main character's last name was Starkiller. So the fact that what's that?
I think it was Deke Starkiller.
Deke Starkiller, correct. And so now that they have kind of come full circle with this movie, they're paying respect to that by calling the base.
And Abrams is a fanboy.
To be the next Death Star, the Starkiller base.
There's a planet on the poster that has an opening in the middle with this big eye-looking weapon in it, and on this planet that could be or could not be Hoth, we see what could be a wall, but what I think is a big trench opening where the weapon's going to fire.
Correct. That's my speculation, too. And we have X-Wings approaching it, just like we had X-Wings approaching the Death Star and doing the trench run. Yeah. They're heading to that spot, so it looks like we're going to have again, paralleling previous stories, we're going to have a similar kind of experience here.
And speaking of
shot, kid, that was 1 in a million.
Now get the hell out of there.
Speaking of nostalgia and paralleling and all that, there's a great shot of Han and Leia with their hands behind their head. Clearly they've been captured. And then Han turns and smiles and kind of puts his arms down in kind of a stunned look, much like in Jedi when they were rescued.
Yep.
And I can't wait to find out who's rescuing them.
Yeah, maybe that's the big Luke reveal.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And another thing I'm waiting for, the end of the trailer shows Ren bearing down on Finn, and both have lightsabers. And Finn looks very well trained with a lightsaber, which suggests he might also be a Jedi. But if it's not his story, that means Rey has to intervene and have the final duel.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't wait to see her jump in there and kick Ren's ass.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if maybe John Boyega is out of his league. He's just holding on the lightsaber for dear life, seeing what's going to happen, because it's Ren the one who's approaching him. He's just kind of standing there holding the saber.
He looks more comfortable with it than Han was in Empire.
Opening the tauntaun, right?
Yeah.
That's a good point. And the reality, it's unclear to me, because throughout the Star Wars trilogy, we have had, most of the characters who have used lightsaber are Jedi or Sith, but not all. I mean, back in the prequel trilogy, Darth Grievous used lightsabers, but he wasn't Jedi. So is there a little wiggle room for a non-Force sensitive, non-Jedi or Sith character to be able to wield a Jedi weapon?
I was going to say, Luke wasn't really a Jedi when he was using it in the first...
Yeah, he almost pokes Obi-Wan's head off when he first turns it on in his house.
I love that shot of him looking down the barrel. There's a meme of him looking down the barrel, effectively, of the lightsaber. And the meme is, what if he hit the button when that happened?
Roll credits.
Yeah, one of those YouTube videos, the how it should have ended, should have done it that way.
There's also a theory that because Finn was a stormtrooper, that he's been trained in all sorts of weapons. I can't see 30 years after the Jedi have completely disappeared why they would be trained with lightsabers.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, John, because I happen to have, and this is some old Star Wars memorabilia that I still hold on to. It's a folder called the Ralph McQuarrie Portfolio, and it's a collection of images of the original paintings that McQuarrie did. They're not the original paintings; they're replicas.
Right,
they're prints of them.
Yeah, they'd be priceless otherwise.
That were used by Lucas for reference art and to kind of develop some of these concepts. Yeah. And one of the things that I know has been influential in this trilogy is looking back at those Ralph McQuarrie designs. In those designs, and I can actually send you a picture of it, the stormtroopers wielded lightsabers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, yeah, because he was thinking of making, the hidden fortress in space.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they were going to be samurai.
And
They actually, the image that I'm thinking actually has a stormtrooper holding a shield in one arm and a lightsaber in the other.
And
I
on
mean,
the
in the end, instead, he went with Apocalypse Now in
exactly.
space more than anything else.
And in the Clone Wars, the Mandalorians have this black lightsaber that's kind of cutlass shaped. That is incredibly awesome. So
Very
there is
cool.
precedent.
And its history is in the Jedi. It's something that the Mandalorians kind of stole some early Jedi technology. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or Sith technology. I can't remember anymore, but it's tied to Sith Jedi lore.
So anything else? I'm done with my notes.
I believe I am too.
I think we have geeked out enough.
All right.
I believe so.
I don't really think it's necessary for sequels and remakes.
Really?
We're gonna
make a sequel on this, you think?
We're gonna have 2 more episodes after 7 or after Force Awakens. They've dropped the numbers. I have to train myself.
This is going to be the final, Star Wars movie that people look forward to universally.
Yeah.
And do you think this will be the final? Do you think this will be the final trailer before December hits?
Probably
I think
not.
so.
Because I have heard both things. I've heard some people saying this is it. I have heard other people saying it's the final trailer. I have heard folks saying now that there's been such an uproar about where's Luke that maybe they'll have to do a trailer with Luke in it.
They don't have to do shit. They sold $6.5 million in 1 day just for showing this, and it's 2 months off. People are gonna.
Yes. Yeah. But every week for this show, I look up the trailer for the clips to post in the blog entry, which nobody reads. But if you're a fan, please go to the blog entry. I take time to actually write a description. Just my little rant there. Every time I've done that, I have never seen a movie that didn't have multiple full-length trailers.
Yeah.
Unless it was something older.
Honestly, I think this is perfect. They use mostly exposition. Expositional shots.
Yeah, maybe we'll have some of those like tiny like TV teaser things with maybe a different angle on a scene or a moment just after or before one of the scenes they've shown already.
And I can see them doing a lot of like 30-second behind the scenes interview segments.
Sure.
On TV.
I don't know. I don't think they need to hype it anymore. I think they're going to have more than enough hype on their own.
They've done a good job. They've done a good job also of really keeping, with as much as has been revealed and kind of how cryptic the story is, as cool as everything looks, none of us really know what the hell this story is about.
Right.
True. And of course, we're also getting a Rogue One movie, which I'm really looking for because it's going to be directed by Gareth Edwards. I loved Monsters. I loved his version of Godzilla. And,
I like the Rogue Squadron books. They were a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, and this Rogue One is supposed to be the team that stole the original Death Star plans. That's supposed to kind of be the plot of the story.
Definitely
is the team of grunts who
Star Wars heist movie.
Yes,
I would love to see a Tarantino Star Wars movie. I think that would be just the craziest thing.
He would be perfect for the Boba Fett movie.
Have you guys seen Pulp Empire? I'll have to send this to you.
I have to find that because that sounds amazing.
That sounds
great. There
is
a guy who recut Empire Strikes Back in the style of a Tarantino film called Pulp Empire. And it is, first of all, the quality is incredible, and it is a beautifully done. The quality is pristine, it looks excellent, and it's just edited in such a way that it's done in the style of a Tarantino movie, but just using all original Star Wars footage.
Oh, nice! I definitely would like to see that.
I'm trying to think of where you would start in Empire if you're doing it Tarantino style. Like, what point, they start Pulp Fiction with the diner, but chronologically the diner doesn't go in.
It starts with Vader reaching out to Luke as Luke is hanging off of the thing.
Yes. I was gonna say the Han being tortured, but yeah, you do want the aftermath and then go back. Yeah, and that's the perfect spot.
That's the first scene in the movie, and it's in black and white.
Yeah. That's great. Once they get into this, there's going to be a Star Wars movie every year, and it's. People felt really excited about Marvel movies when they first started coming out, but now you can kind of see whatever.
Yeah. Plenty of room for Tarantino to jump in and take one of those.
Yeah. I really think they should have kept the 3-year wait between movies. I think people would have lost their shit over them, but I don't think people lose interest. It
Disney
never happened in the other trilogies.
Disney needs the cash machine.
They can get it other ways.
And if at any point, and they'll go back to that if that's what makes the most money. It's going to be about what makes the most money.
Exactly.
We were promised a damn a Band of Brothers Star Wars series, and we never got it.
Well, that was during the Lucas days. If Disney feels... Actually, I have heard something about a live-action series. I don't think it's that necessarily. But
it's not dead in the water, but it's been in development hell for a while. And then once Disney purchased Lucasfilm, these things have taken priority. So.
Well, I mean, he has all of the work done on it. So if they wanted to pick it up, I forget the number of episodes. It was something insane. Like 300 episodes or whatever.
I think it was a financial issue, which is surprising from Lucas, but it was going to be that expensive to make.
Being able to do the same level of quality of special effects and sets and all that at that scale, I think, was the issue.
And on a weekly basis, but of course Disney has all the money, so they can probably make it happen.
They're going to recoup like at least a quarter of their investment in this one movie alone.
Yeah,
totally.
All right, on the brains.
On the brains.
I really loved it. I'm gonna hedge my bet a little bit and take a little bit off for the American accent and go 4.5.
The American. I don't even. I mean, I'm not even familiar with his English accent, so he sounded fine to me. I think.
You've seen Attack the Block. We reviewed it.
That's true. I forgot he's the same kid there. But I mean, this gets the job done in more ways than one. You have to see this movie at some point. Maybe not opening night, but
of course.
And there's.
I'm probably waiting until the beginning of the year.
They don't tell you too much of the story. There's intrigue. They're still faithful to the original. It's a definite 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think Scott, as a trailer, as far as going back to my Trailerclash ways, and it being effective in making me want to go see this movie and getting me excited for it, it's definitely a 5 brains. As far as me wanting to hedge my bets a little bit, just to not set myself up for disappointment, like the original trilogy or the prequel trilogies did, I'm gonna go 4 just to hedge my bets.
All right. And what have we learned?
We learned that Han gets captured all the time. What the hell is up with that?
Yeah.
And I learned that you can remix Star Wars music in new and different ways, and didn't even know you could do that with it. So I'm very excited to see what's coming on the musical side.
And I learned that J.J. Abrams really has an issue with lens flare. I mean, a lot of people were joking about it, and the defenders were saying, no, it's Star Wars. He loves Star Wars. He's not going to do it. He did it twice in the damn trailer.
Lens flare never goes away in the J.J. Abrams world.
All right, so until next week when we'll be reviewing Old Boy, we put that off because we realized this was going to be long enough to serve as an episode this week.
Yeah, we thought this was just going to be like a 15, 20-minute kind of deal.
Yeah. But interrupt this podcast for a very special trailer edition.
Before we sign off, I just wanted to mention John Whitford, one of the other former hosts of Trailerclash, was supposed to be with us. He's not feeling well, so get well soon, John. Hope you feel better soon.
Get well soon, John.
Get well.
All right, so, of course, that brings us to, always remember, never forget, wherever you go in life, there you are.
There you are.
There you are.
Stay clashy.
Stay clashy, that's right.
Just let it in.
Compel me to go check this out. Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear him all the way through. He's not cutting out on me.
Okay.
Did you hear me, John? I think we lost John. I think that's what the problem is.
No, John. No.
He was saying that you were cutting out, but I could hear you the entire time. Yeah. Any time he was saying that, I was kind of like, really?
And he is. Yeah, and now he's not there at all.
Yeah, and he was recording, so...
Yeah.
Wasn't he? Yeah, so he would have the...
I have the backup still going on here.
Oh, so you're recording this.
I'm doing a backup just in case.
I think I can salvage most of that.